Hey guys, first of all, sorry about the background noise. My chair is really loud for some reason, super loud tonight. But I'm here to do a video on a explanation of the code. Had a lot of requests on just putting more details on how the code work in this three-part series that I created about throwing an object, how you're able to drag that across the screen, but it will only capture that essential, like that one quick flick. So there's, dragging an object really fast versus an actual flick to throw the object. Being not a very experienced YouTuber, I lack a lot of the information. Instead, I kind of just showed someone how to do it versus teaching or explaining why. So, in this game here, and I actually play it. So I'm running the Unity remote on my phone, so I can actually just, on my phone like this, right? I could move it around and I let it go. It snaps back into that starting point, and I can bring it right up here and just kind of flick. I can flick it from right here. I can drag it up here and flick it. That means I can really launch that thing all the way down. And the code behind that, it's this script right here. I call it my rocket, throw rocket. The idea of this game was actually for it to be a rocket. And as for the game itself, oh look, you will see this exact same game. Things have changed, but it's actually out there now. I'm still waiting on some. The Facebook login isn't working because it requires user friend list permission. I am going off track. Let's talk about this right here. What makes it work and what is everything, So starting off the top, we have, I created 4 floats, a start time and an end time. I'm going to use this as a way of knowing exactly as soon as I touch the touch begin event. So when I touch the ball, I'm using touch gestures. The touch begins. I'm going to start that time. I want to know the time between when I touch the ball and when I release the ball. And then there's a swipe distance, which is basically these two, which makes up a swipe distance in a sense. And then I have a swipe time, so how long it took, which is basically the end time minus the start time, and you'll get the swipe time there. And then I'm going to have 2 vectors to calculate the location of where I push the ball and where I end when I let go of touching the ball. To kind of show that, start post, that would probably, if I press Control F, scroll down here, you'll see that as soon as my raycast hits this transform object, because this script is on this bomb right here. So as soon as my finger, because I can touch right here and nothing will happen. As soon as I touch here, the raycast from that position will hit this object. And as soon as it does, I will set that position as my starting position. And as soon as I release using the, I believe it's touch end event. So as soon as the touch phrase equals the ended event, then I will set that position as the end position. And you could notice what I did here with the distance is basically the start divided by the end, or the end divided by the start, and then you just put a magnitude. It just kind of converts that value into what we need, which is a float, as you can remember right here. And this temp time is kind of a part of what I used to accomplish the flick. There's a couple of other values in here. To be honest with you, the flicker length, you can probably get rid of and replace it with just swipe distance. Because if you look at the swipe distance, I'm getting the swipe distance here, and then I'm just, I'm using a if condition to check a couple of things there, but I'm gonna set the flicker length to the swipe distance anyways. So nothing would change if I just get rid of this completely. And then, it's gonna be screaming at me. It's gonna be screaming at me here in a second, telling me that I have a variable, I'm not using it. And I can really just get rid of this. And if I save that, I can control S, or you can go right up here and click save. Just wait for this here to process, finish the little progress. And then I'll hit play. I still move the ball around, let it go. It snaps right back in position. Bring it up here and still accomplish my quick flick. And I don't know if you can hear the little sound effects. This script is a little bit more than what you saw on the on tutorial. I've actually added more things to this. This smooth we can get rid of because I'm not doing a smooth camera follow, because that's why that was there. You can see it's not even referenced anywhere else in the script. All right, so let's go on down. To start off, the untouch method. This is called in the update. So if I'm holding the ball, I'm calling my untouch method, and then I just say else. I could just say return, but I have an open bracket here doing nothing, so it does nothing. It's either I'm holding the ball or it does nothing. But if it's thrown, then I'm going to return, and you won't go any further on this script. So holding the ball, we'll call this, and this will simply set the mouse position. It should really be like finger gesture, equals the get touch, which is the first, your first touch. So if you're touching the screen with like 2 fingers, this would then be 1. But since you that first 1 touch, this would be 0. So that's what this is. And then we're just setting this to the Z axis of your camera near clipping. And what this is, and I'll show you, if we increase this by, let's say right now it's 5.5 and a 9.5. Yeah, why not? Control S and save it. The difference here is as soon as I touch this ball, it's not going to follow me closely. So when I touch it, see it's further away. See that? When I touch it, it kind of just backs up further away. And that's that distance here. So if I put this at like, let's say 3.1, save it again, and just replay this. See that? So that's all. That's what the near clip-in is. And this here is just basically saying for it to follow your finger. And you all know what a vector 3.lerp is. That just lerps it. The speed and the delta time is just how quickly. So if you turn this up or turn it down, you can perhaps accomplish like a late follow, where it follows your finger, like late. If you're holding it, it's going to follow your finger. Set it at a certain distance behind the camera, or like you saw by changing this. Bring it up close, or push it backwards, or leave it where it is and follow your finger. If the input touch count is more than 0, it just means if you actually have a finger on the screen, we're gonna get the get touch, and we're just gonna set it as touch, so we can use that to reference the phases later. So now that we've set this as touch, because you're touching the screen somewhere, we're gonna say, so if the phase of that is begin, so if you've just begin touching the screen, first of all, we need to shoot out a raycast, so we just gotta declare it. From where? From basically the main camera position, because like I said, this script is not on the camera, so we just gotta make sure we have a way of referencing the camera. It's because obviously the camera is what's looking at the ball. If we're over here, that's not going to work out. So we got to reference the camera in that viewpoint. So basically, we call it Ray, and then we make a reference to the hit. Excuse me. Now we make a reference to the raycast hit. So when you shoot out a ray from that point that you touch the screen or the camera, there's also a variable for, I want to say a class or a method for raycast hit that tells you when that has hit an object, anything that has some sort of collider to it. And I just call that hit. And then in a nested if statement here, I'm just going to get that physic raycast, and I'm going to basically cast it out. And that's what this normally stands for. And the distance. Okay, so we get back a hit. And what are you hitting? Well, if you go hit dot transform, so if that object that I've hit is this object that the script is attached to, I'm going to do the following. So basically, I can touch anywhere else on the screen, but unless I'm touching the ball, this will not happen. So now that I'm touching the ball, I'm going to start. I'm going to start my start time because I've actually started touching the ball. And that's what this does. I'm going to start my start position. I'm going to set my start position. And that's what this is doing. And I'm holding the ball. Yes, this is equal to true. So now this will allow me to follow the ball to follow me, and all the near clipping and all that stuff goes into effect at this point. Okay. And then you don't really have to do this, but what I was doing is I was setting the parent of this object as soon as I touch it to another object. So at this point, since I'm doing this transform that set position, no, I can actually just comment this out, play it, and nothing should change. Can still move it around and throw it. So that was just something else I was doing earlier. So if this part here is in your script, just know that you can comment this out. All it would do is as soon as you touch the ball and start moving it, you can move the ball into, make it parent of that if you needed to for some reason. In the event, I kind of needed to at some point, but I've forgotten to move it. Okay, so now we are doing stuff as soon as we're actually touching the ball. We can move it. We can, drag it all over the screen. But if we release it, so now if the phase is ended and, Olden is still true, we haven't set it to false yet, it's still true. Just an extra step. I think we can get away with not having it there, but it's just an extra condition to make sure everything is set. Now I can go ahead and set my end time to the current time, so I know right now when I've just released the touch, when I've just moved my finger from the screen, from the ball, what time is it? Boom, set it here. The new position. So this is the end position from where it was before to where it is now. And then the distance is, basically, we already went over this, just that end point from that start point from here to here, distance. Okay. And then the time that I've swiped was basically the same thing, the start time and the end time, just minus it. And I didn't do a magnitude on this because these are different. I don't believe I set these as floats. Did I? I did set these as floats. For what I'm using it for, I didn't. I didn't have to do that, but I just left it the way it is. And these start time and end time, I used those to help me accomplish the flick. Okay, and this right here is actually a part of that flick. Okay, so as soon as I put my finger down on that ball and the timer start and then the timer ends, the number will go up. So a quick flick would be you touch the ball, it's less than 0.5 seconds. That's a quick flick. So if the swipe time, which is this minus that, is less than that, and the swipe distance is, let's say it was quick. It was somewhat. It wasn't like I just tap it. So it moved. You went like this, shoop, shoop. It wasn't like shoop, 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 shoop. That wouldn't, work. So it's just the swipe distance. That's what that is. And then I'm just gonna play a sound. I'm gonna call the calculate speed. I call it calc speed and calculate the angle. And then I'm gonna add. I'm gonna get the reference to this the rigid body that's attached to my bomb. Right here. And add the force in whatever angle direction. So move angle will take care of what this is at the time. Angle Z, angle Y, angle X. And calculate speed would actually be taking care of what this should be. And that's why these come first before this is called. And if you look at this, if we calculate speed, sorry, if I just highlight it and press Control F, I can get a reference. Boom. Calculate speed. We were here before. Basically, does the calculation of the speed using the swipe distance, whatever the max ball speed that you set in the variable is, and then this will happen as soon as you release it. So the next time you touch it again and release it, it needs to be able to recalculate. So we just set the value back to 0 after this is all said and done. After we have given ball speed whatever value we need to give it that we're going to use here, we're all set. So we just send this back to 0. And then we redo it again, and that distance minus this, and then boom, boom, boom. Next time look what would happen if I just comment calculate speed out, okay, and play the game. You see that the ball can't go anywhere. You can swipe it, flick it, it will just fall. So as soon as I swipe, flick, it will just fall. But it won't go forward because the calculate speed is commented out. One thing I want to fix, it's really too close to the screen. Just put it back to a 5.5 or something. And then the same for the move angle. If I just comment that out and Control S to save, go back here. Now, when I play it, doesn't even respawn. Like, I know it shouldn't go anywhere, but it wouldn't even respawn. Okay. No. It did respawn, but it's not sure why it was doing that. Let me just make sure this is checked and apply to all the prefab that's responding. Okay. So it's being weird, but yeah, that's what's supposed to happen. It also just falls. So both of these are hand in hand. In a sense, you could combine both of these into one method or function and just do one calculation, assign the values to these as they should be, and call it a day. But you can see move angle takes care of this angle. It just sets, boom. So angle is now equal to, we're getting a reference to the main camera, the camera component, screen to world point. Look that up on the Unity documentary. I don't think my explanation would give it justice, but it's basically your screen and it has to do with the view of your screen right now in this world view. So it's like if you click here versus up here, it knows that it's not the middle of whatever you're looking at. It's kind of like off to the right. It calculates all that. Um, and then it does a vector 3. So you get your x, the y plus 50. I think adding 50 to it just gives it that like arch when you throw it. And then the near clipping, which you would see up here, it just takes that into consideration that you have the ball up close up to the screen using this near clipping plane effect here as well. So basically, you have a good reference to where the angle is at the time of the release, the on touch phase ended. Of the time of this, we know, okay, where is he at? Boom. The end post Y and the end post X, and we get an angle of where you are. As for the reset, we just have two different reset. The one that respawns the rocket when you throw it, and then we have the one that just puts the rocket when you don't throw it. So if I move this up, pretend I'm going to throw it, and then I decide not to and just release it, you see it just flies back down there. And that is the reset that's happening here. And I usually have like a reference on the script itself to right here. Where's the script? Yeah, ball throw. I would add a spawn point. So you see that the spawn point is really just an empty game object sitting exactly where the ball is. And then I would normally have a reference to it here, and I would just drag it and drop it in there. But instead, to make the script more independent, what I went ahead and did is just made it find game object. So find spawn point, which is this, and just get a reference to its position. And then these are just, putting things back to default, like throwing and holding should be false. And this is just a way of setting two booleans or two variables to meet one condition in a quick way instead of having two lines. That's all that is. And then make sure this game object is set back to true, because I believe I did set it to false in another script after throwing it, or after it hit something and blow up. I set it to false and make disappear and all that. Resetting your velocity to 0, resetting the angular velocity, use gravity back to false. That's why it's kind of just floating there. But then after you throw it, the use gravity actually comes on. You can see that right here. So, gravity kicks in, obviously. And yeah, that's really it. Check this. Oh yeah. So here, I can't believe I forgot this part. Here is quite interesting. So what's going on here is with this temp this is how I accomplish that quick flick. This is one of the ways I accomplish it. If I this with this, so this whole area here is where the magic happens. But if I don't know why I'm failing at this. If I just comment this out, save it, and play. Did I fix the other thing? Yeah. I should be able to throw this. Let's see. Okay, I can still throw it, which is fine. I can just flick it and throw it. But do you know that my flick doesn't work anymore? Now it looks like it's working, but it's not. If I bring it up here and I try to flick it, it resets. Bring it up here, it resets because the time that I touch it, right now, I've been holding it for a very long time. I try to flick it. Oh, yeah, I've been holding it for too long. That doesn't count as a flick. And what I'm doing with that is, let's uncomment this. You can see the start time. As long as it's more than 0, means that I'm not just tapping it. I've actually held it down and moved it. But as soon as I've held it for longer than this time, then it's time to reset that position. So wherever I'm at right now, it kind of just like restarts. So in a sense, if you count to 5 really quick, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it resets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it reset. So as soon as I move it up here, my new position, my new start time is being reset every zero point 0.5 seconds until I actually do a quick flick that would count. Boop. I don't know why that didn't work. Did I save it? I don't think I saved it. Yeah, I didn't save it. There we go. There we go. It wasn't working there. It was like it kept resetting. But now if I play it, I can bring it up. I can do a quick up here and then release, and it goes because it was within the 0.5 of the second. Check this out. If I put this down to about 2, right? Control S to save. Now you can really, customize your flick time. It has to be a quick flick or a slow flick. That is the value you want to mess with. This value right here. As soon as you're touching the ball, this time starts. And every time it goes over this amount, it resets a reset. So your flick window is in that small time. Okay? And it resets. The new position is here, new position is here. It's resetting constantly until I get a quick flick. So I can, look at that, bring it up here and release it. And I'm doing it pretty quickly, and you would think it would throw it. Yeah. That one went, but it needs that quick flick. And that's how I accomplished the flick, the throw, versus the drag to move, guys. Thank you again for watching. Hopefully this wasn't too long, but I just want to make sure I did explain what the body here did, what things, why things were set up the way they are. Just the certain things that you can play around with and remove. You notice that I did add a sound to it. You guys can do that too. And here's your max ball speed. And that is the very max to how fast that ball would go. And you can see that happens here. Well, thanks again for watching, and that's it. Hope you guys enjoy. Have a good one.